Our opening words today are The Promise and the Practice by Viola Abbott. Let us call upon that light which shines in each of us to give us the strength to walk together into the future and do the work that is necessary and which does not end here today. Let us have the wisdom to lovingly have the conversations we need to have with each other, that we must have with each other in order to grow this faith in radical love and inclusion.
Good morning. and welcome to Minnesota Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Liv, and I am assisting Jim with the service today. We gather in this morning with joy and gratitude, but also with pieces and parts of ourselves that are worn out and worn down. Waiting once again to trust, to join others in nurturing belief that hope is not as fragile as it sometimes seems, and that division is not always as deep as it sometimes appears. Will you please join me in our chalice lighting as we tend the fire that is at the heart of this community? May the flame
from the light of days remembered burns a meek and bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness by the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Hi, everyone. Does anyone have any joys or sorrows today? I think we're going to have our ushers go around with the mics. Yeah, just Matthew will be able to do that.
Hi, I'm Mimi, and I have a few sorrows. I've had 6 friends die in the last month and week.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's been a really sad time. On a good note, I get to fly and see my family. My son Peter, Dawn, and my only granddaughter Frances, who's 9, and a pistol. It's gonna be really fun. She wears me out quickly. But thank you for thinking of me.
Lorna? Okay, I'm Lorna Prell. I have a joy and a concern. The joy is that after having my fall 4 months ago, this week I got rid of all the hardware in my mouth. So I'm very, very glad about that. And he says it'll probably be numb for another 6 to 8, maybe 12 months, but at least I don't have the wires in there. The concern is my 49-year-old son, Michael, had half a knee replaced this week. And he has a cold water thing around his knee that he keeps him from going anywhere. So he spent the last week on the couch, literally. Can't go up the stairs, can't go to bed, he's on the couch. But he's doing okay.
Siblings, mixed feelings today. Everybody knows me as Greg. It's one of my first cousin's birthday today. She lives in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Go Pack Go, of course. Well, this morning, her sister Kim, my other first cousin, passed away. So I don't know if I'm going to be making a trip to Milwaukee over the next 2 weeks or what kind of plans is going to happen. On another note, Marge is recovering from her second of her cataract surgeries. One of her daughters, Kim, is staying with her to help her with the eye drops and all the day-to-day activities. And I guess Mary over on the west side of Bloomington, she's just going steady. Right along with her her chair, her still learning how to drive it around and everything. And she's participating in activities, so it's good for her. Probably not at this point, but generally speaking, there's a big-time shower thunderstorm activity south of the Twin Cities. Slowly moving north, and it will get here sometime this evening tonight. Another huge batch of rain, ending Monday morning. Cool front passes through. Most of next week will be a little drier and cooler.
And now to Tom with sports.
I'm Tom Ellinger. I think many of you know that Ann and my son Peter had liver surgery several months ago, and last night I had the joy of going to Palmer's Bar and seeing him play drums with his band Boobless, and he was up there just having a great time. So that was great joy for me.
Good morning, everyone. I just have 2 small joys. One was that at the silent auction last year, I bid for somebody to come hang some pictures up in my house. So last week, Karen and David Olson came and hung up 23 pictures for me. They did a fantastic job. If you want to see pictures, I'll show you. But it's for my daughter's bedroom so she can move to the big girl bedroom downstairs because my littlest turned 3 yesterday. So he officially got rid of his toddler bed and moved into the bunk bed. Older brother moved to the top bunk. Lydia moved downstairs. So lots of transitions and a really great birthday as Cass turns 3.
Barb Gillian. I have just a quick update on Leslie McNeil. She had hand surgery a couple weeks ago now, and it was much more painful, or the recovery is much more painful than she expected. but she's slowly improving, and if you know her well, give her a call, and texts would also be appreciated.
Hi, I'm Linda. I'm new here. I don't have any joys or sorrows, but I would like to ask for prayers for my niece who's trying to sell her house. She's worked really hard on getting it ready, and she's had a lot of showings, and she's getting a little discouraged. So I would ask that you keep my niece in your prayers so that she can move and sell her house to someone who really wants it. Thank you.
Oh, this is not technically a joy or a concern, but I live in a senior cooperative on Lyndale Avenue on Applewood Point, and we are looking for a full-time maintenance person and part-time, which would be 20 hours a week. And they come with insurance, and so if you know anyone who's looking for those kinds of jobs, contact me, Barb Gilliard, and I'll give you the information. Okay? Thanks.
Anyone else in the? Ian, do we have anybody online that's? Move right on into. Does anyone have any other announcements? Anything like that?
Tuesday get together at Panera, or not Panera. Tuesday get together at 1 o'clock for lunch or a beverage and good conversation. We call it Beyond Sunday Morning. Perkins on Lyndale, 1 o'clock. Anybody's welcome.
Great. When I was making this this thing, I forgot to put the stuff for the joys and sorrows, so I apologize for that. But I hope we keep all the joys. And I know, Barb. I know. I'll make up for it. But there we go.
And we believe in love and in the strength of love, and we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer.
So we are going to move into our offer. Sorry, Barb, did you raise your hand? Oh! For those of you in the back, is this not on? Oh, is this better? Oh, all right. All right. Okay, sorry, Barb. So for our offering space, half of our summer offerings goes to support the sponsorship of Bloomington Pride. I know personally, as living in Bloomington my whole life, this is something I'm really happy to see us giving to. It's such an important cause, and it's been so rewarding for the community to have something like this. So I personally feel that it's great that we are doing this. Will the ushers please come forward to accept the offering? Well, first of all, thanks to Tom for helping me help Barbara with the with being able to hear me. Can you guys hear me okay now? Okay, great. Well, this morning I'd like to start with a confession. I'm not very good at taking time off. If there were an Olympic event in overcommitting, I wouldn't just make the team. I'd be the captain, the coach, the concession stand manager. I'd probably cheer for myself at certain times. And I suspect from what I've seen with friends here, I'm not alone. We live in a culture that treats busyness like a badge of honor. If someone asks you, how have you been? And you were to respond as rested, they might look at you like you've broken some unspoken rule. But if you say, oh, I've been so busy, and you start listing things off, suddenly you are this champion of productivity that should be, celebrated. But the truth is that this constant motion, it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost of our health, our relationships, our creativity, even our sense of self sometimes. Now, if we look to other religions, the Jewish tradition gives us the Sabbath. It's not a suggestion, it's a commandment. 1 day a week to rest. We set aside our labor, we let the world spin off without pushing it along. The Sabbath reminds us that we are not a machine. You are part of a creation, and creation rests. In Buddhism, mindfulness calls us to be present in each moment, to stop running towards the next thing and just simply be. Even nature models this for us. Winter is Earth's way of taking a deep breath before spring. Now, this idea was completely foreign in my family growing up. To a fault. Both of my parents worked. My dad, after an honorable discharge from the Navy, he got a job as a lab tech at the VA Medical Center. He stayed there for 30 years, eventually working his way up to director. My mom was also a Navy vet. They actually met and got married while they were in the service, but that's a different sermon. That's for next summer. She had been a registered nurse before enlisting. She had gone to school for it. And so when she was discharged, she went back into nursing right after leaving the military. My dad came back. They decided to move here to Minneapolis from where my mom grew up in Gilbertville in Massachusetts, and they came here to start a family, but they immediately got back to work. Work ethic, my parents had it in spades. But unfortunately, our house wasn't run like a home, though it was very loving and there was love there. It was kind of run more like a barracks. My mom vacuumed in the morning before work, every morning. And then again, right after dinner. She really liked those clean lines that you get when you vacuum. That was big for her. My dad, every morning, got up, made his bed with crisp navy corners. If you've ever been with somebody who's in the military, you've seen how important making the bed is. And it's a good habit to get into, but this was, a bit much for me, at least when I was growing up. Then he would choose one of his 5 white shirts that he had and one of his 5 nearly identical black pairs of pants before heading to the VA for the day. From the outside, it looked perfect. My friends would walk in and marvel at the vacuum lines in the carpet and how everything was in its place. A lot of friends told me growing up that I felt like I lived in a museum, that everything was clean, there was no dust. My one chore was wiping the baseboards every week, and that was actually, we had a contest in middle school of the weirdest chore that you had to do, and no one even came close to me. They thought making that was just, they were like, what? Why? They're so low. But yeah, everything looked perfect. But here's the truth of that. Keeping it that way took time and effort, a lot of time. And it came at a cost. There was never room, really, for anything else. As my dad said to me so often, there is always something to do. This idea of pausing, of taking time to reflect, it was replaced with this constant need to push forward. I mean, as a young adult, I followed that for model for me. I was full-time college while working 40 hours a week at various electronic stores. And when I wasn't studying or working, I was sleeping poorly. Even at graduation, I resisted attending the ceremony. I mean, in my head, I was thinking, why waste time celebrating when there was a job to find, there was bills to pay, there was work to be done? I actually remember just walking and going into the office at college, at my college, and saying, like, do I really need to go to graduation? I mean, I know you guys have the diplomas back there. Can you just hand it to me? I don't want to spend the time doing that to me. And the people in my life, I had to go and I had to do it, but you know, I still felt like it was pointless. And then my career followed the same pattern. It was work, it was sleep, it was repeat. Rest and joy felt frivolous and something I could save for after I retire. Then my son arrived. You guys have all met Ian. And everything shifted, or at least it should have. Sorry. He was pure joy, and he is. You've all seen him. But instead of slowing, oh boy, wow. This is not what I expected. Please give me a minute. Instead of slowing down to be with him, I doubled down at work. I tried freelancing, I was chasing income, I was doing every these things I could because I wanted to provide him with security. I believed that money equaled happiness. What I slowly realized was that he didn't need that. Wow, okay. He needed me. So by my early 40s, my parents' health had begun to decline. Years of cancer treatments. My mom got cancer in both 1987 and then again in 1991. And while she was in remission, the radiation and the stuff had left her with numerous health problems throughout the decades. And my dad, though steadfast, was slowing. I mean, they were getting in their 70s, and it was time for them to, actually try some of that slowing down that we had all talked about. As the dutiful son, I started stepping in where he couldn't. And then I eventually became my parents' executor, which was a great honor, but also came with a lot of work and responsibility I didn't expect, on top of raising my son, on top of being a partner, on top of being someone who works, someone who provides. At the same time, Ian was starting kindergarten, a watershed moment in a kid's life. We're starting school. And this was all happening in the midst of a global pandemic. And while my marriage, though intact, it was also undergoing significant changes that would continue to unfold in surprising ways as the years went on. So in 2022, my dad was also diagnosed with a non-aggressive form of leukemia and early onset Alzheimer's, which meant my responsibilities grew even heavier on top of everything else. Then, in 2023, my mom suffered a severe medical emergency that left her bedridden. She entered a nursing home, which transitioned to hospice, which then transitioned to her passing away in March of 2024. Side note, when my mom passed, it was March 24th, 2024. March 25th was the first time I came to UU. It was not planned that way, obviously, but it was a nice bookend to see what that was like. Then later on in 2024, my dad's dementia had progressed to the point where he could no longer take care of himself or without help. So we made the difficult decision to move him to the Veterans Home here in Minneapolis. So amid all of this, I started seeing a new therapist. And during intake, I listed everything that had happened over the past 5 years. The astonished look on her face kind of gave me pause. She told me that any one of these events would have been enough to bring someone to therapy, and I had endured all of them in a short time span. With her guidance and the support of close family, I made a decision that I had avoided for being professional for 30 years of my life. I was going to take a break. I was going to take a sabbatical from work. I consulted with my therapist and my current employer to take FMLA, and that started the day after Thanksgiving. And that was, for someone who has been working, it's a shock to the system. You don't expect it. You don't see what's going on. And at first, that change was petrifying. Without something to do, I found myself, like most retirees, just trying to fill the hours with as many tasks as I could in the day. I was doing washing dishes, I was doing yard work, I was offering to do things and overcommitting, just like I had for the 30 years. And I was just trying to be useful. It took me almost 3 weeks of being not working to actually start to slow down, and then another few weeks to actually start sleeping through the night. Thankfully, we had planned a trip to Costa Rica in the following February, and I think by the time we were getting to leave, I was at least somewhat okay with taking some time off. It was a yoga retreat, so there was like built-in relaxation time, and everything was very like I didn't have a choice. I had to do yoga in the morning, so like I was going to be calm whether or not I liked it. Now, I don't know if it was the fresh air or the wildlife or the amazing, incredible food. If you guys ever get a chance to go to Costa Rica, take it. I can't recommend it more. Or if it was some combination of that and taking the time off, but something started to shift. The importance of what I was doing, taking this time, finally began to take shape. I realized I didn't always need to be on. I didn't always need to provide or to matter. I could stop, I could breathe, and the world, when I woke up, was still spinning. When I came back from the trip, I was determined to hold on to that feeling, to make sure that I came out of this a better person, both for myself and the people closest to me. It's been 8 months now since that journey. I left my job in January to continue practicing this, what Laura, before she left, had actually said, the sacred art of stopping. And so where am I now? Well, I also wanted to make the announcement that though I did leave my job in January, I actually do start a new job on Tuesday. So, but I'm coming back with different perspective. So where am I now? What did I learn? I mean, I still wrestle with the practice of being present. I think it's safe to say that my cell phone and I are basically in therapy and counseling for codependency. Son's doing great. He's 10 now, and he's starting 5th grade. Yeah. I wake up every morning around the same time, something I hadn't done in ever. And I actually get out of bed most days. I've learned to appreciate the people in my life more deeply, but that path also continues to unfold. I'm calmer. For someone who's neurodivergent, who was diagnosed with both ADHD and OCD, that is very strange and unfamiliar, that concept of being calmer. But most importantly, I've begun to lay the groundwork for a life that balances work and home in a way that I never have before, with equal parts appreciation for the work I do and for the people that are in my life that I care about. So, to all of you, I say this: retire early, retire often, and please practice the sacred art of stopping. Blessed be. you all please join me in reciting the words as we extinguish the flame? We'll wait, there we go. The closing words today are from the Dalai Lama, and a note, this quote was taken as is from the speaker. His reference is to man, but in this context, it should mean all of mankind. The Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, he said, man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. He sacrifices his money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then dies having never really lived.